My best guess for how this will manifest is that prices will drop.
Elon Musk believes that in an age of advanced artificial intelligence, almost everything could eventually become virtually free. Unfortunately, we see housing costs as pretty stubborn. If we look at construction costs, I think we are into the late 2030s, where we see a cost reduction of maybe 20 to 30%, so not that dramatic. And it really depends on the land value, whether it's a cost reduction at all. So if land value is such a big part of the equation, the obvious next step is to look at where things actually stand today. Let's take two very different parts of the USA, Manhattan and Dallas-Fort Worth. In 2025, the median apartment price in Manhattan is about $1.125 million. In Dallas-Fort Worth, it's about $375,000, and the difference becomes even clearer. When you look at price per square foot, Manhattan, roughly $1,629 per square foot. Dallas, about $185. That's about a ninefold difference. It's not because Manhattan apartments use 9 times more concrete, it's because land is scarce. 2 decades ago, land already represented about 67% of home value in New York City, compared to about 46% in Dallas. In Manhattan today, the effective land and scarcity component is likely even higher. So now, fast forward to 2039. What could realistically move these prices? Let's start with technology. Even if modular construction, robotics, and AI reduce building costs by 10 to 20% in real terms over the next 13 years, that only affects the structure portion of the home. If construction represents maybe 20% of total value in Manhattan, a 20% drop in build cost translates into maybe 4% of the total price. In Dallas, where structure may represent closer to half of total value, the impact might be closer to 10%. That matters. But it's not what will dominate the market, but interest rates will. Over the past 20 years, the lowest mortgage rates Americans experienced were roughly 2.7% in 2020 and 2021. That's our real-world floor. Now imagine mortgage rates fall from around 6.5% to 4.5% over the next decade. That's just a 2-point drop. On a $900,000 loan in Manhattan, where that reduces monthly payments by over $1,000. On a $300,000 loan in Dallas, where it reduces payments by roughly $400. That's about a 20% swing in affordability. Construction technology is unlikely to create a 20% drop in prices. Interest rates can create that instantly. Now here's the important nuance. If rates fall, prices often rise. So affordability might not improve very much. You could see home values go up 15 or 20%. Simply because financing becomes cheaper. So when we think about 2039, we have to separate price from affordability. Prices could rise, monthly payments might stay similar. Now at demand, we already know remote work increased from roughly 5% of workdays before the pandemic to around 20 to 25% in recent years. The big question is whether that becomes permanent. If it does, dense urban cores could see slower demand growth, but history suggests caution. During the financial crisis, New York prices fell about 18%. Painful. But not structural collapse. For Manhattan to fall 40% or more in real terms, you would likely need a combination of high interest rates, persistent remote work dominance, and weaker global capital flows. Possible. Not the base case. On the other side, could Manhattan be up 200% by 2039? Nominally, maybe under very high inflation. But in real terms, that would require nearly 9% annual growth for more than a decade. Historically, that's extreme. So the most realistic range, absent major shocks, is something like flat to moderately up in real terms for land-constrained cities that remain globally attractive, and flat to slightly down in real terms for areas with abundant land and elastic supply. Dallas-Fort Worth is projected to keep growing toward roughly 12 million people by 2050. So demand may remain strong, but outward expansion limits scarcity. Now what about rent? Lower interest rates tend to push asset prices up. They don't automatically reduce rents. Rents track local income and supply. In Manhattan, if high-income workers cluster and supply remains constrained, rents likely stay elevated in more elastic metros. If supply expands and income growth slows, real rents could flatten or decline modestly. So where does this leave us? There are many variables we cannot know. Inflation, interest rates, the permanence of remote work, the scale of AI-driven labor disruption. But if we rank what will most likely move housing prices between now and 2039, well, technology is not at the top. Interest rates, and here people want to live, matter more.